And in my opinion, this is the best budget that Modi government or Nirmala Sitharaman has presented.
Wow.
I would probably compare the way famous movies like Sholay or Andaz Apna came and people did not appreciate and later than appreciated. Similar thing happens, I believe, in 91 budget with Mr. Manmohan Singh presented, or 97 budget Mr. P presented. This may be considered a very forward-looking budget in next 30-year history of country.
We're talking a day after the budget,
Yeah.
right? So, I have to ask, right? So, I have to ask your thoughts on the budget, and if you could take more of a startup and investing lens on that and call out a few highlights, that will be a great start.
Great. So, Roshan, I've been listening to budget speeches myself for 5 to 6 years now. I try to listen to entire speech, even if time allows. I try to go to what is basically the note is, because the finer details sometimes become more material. I listened to the budget speech yesterday, and in my opinion, this is the best budget that Modi government or Nirmala Sitharaman has presented.
Wow.
And I'm telling it not the person who is getting impacted. So as a person, there are three sides of me. As a middle class, whatever earning I'm doing, person who's trying to build venture capital fund, and person who invests in public market. So let's say public market side, given the increase in LTCG and STCG, it's a negative impact. On venture capital side is a positive impact on two sides, given angel tax has gone away. Plus the investing in unlisted equity has been brought on par. And on personal side, given there's a minor relief on salary side, etc. So that's a positive, but there's no big relief as people were expecting. However, if I keep that aside, and if I think as a student of economics or finance, I think this is a landmark budget. I would probably compare the way famous movies like Sholay or Andaz Apna came and people did not appreciate and later than appreciated. Similar thing happens, I believe, in 91 budget with Mr. Manmohan Singh presented, or 97 budget Mr. P presented. This may be considered a very forward-looking budget in next 30-year history of country on 3 or 4 counts. A country progresses when 3 fundamental things happen. I add 2 more, which is land, labor, capital. 2 more which I add is technology and entrepreneurship. This is fundamental. This is economics 101. First time I see, apart from all the political components, etc., which has been integrated in the budget as well, I see very clear direction on that. Indian real estate is the most expensive in the world. If you want to buy a flat in New Jersey, it's cheaper to buy a flat in New Jersey city, like 3,000 compared to what is in Gurgaon. First time government has tried to address that in a structural way by ensuring that people who want to buy flats, they buy, because they are not going to sell the flat just for the gain. But people who are just the investors out of just investing in the buying 10 flats, so indexation has been removed. So that's one. First time I see the capital side. So capital side is capital needs to go in productive resources. And India as a country is a country of savers. Like people, once they have disposable income,
we have perhaps one of the highest household savings. Right?
Saving rate, right? Because that's how our ancestors have taught us. And you see the region, the way retail money has been flowing into the market. In fact, Mr. Uday Kotak has tweeted around 30 days back that the biggest risk that we have for the economy is this whole inflow of money that's happening in stock market, because once you reach to bubble territory, it might shake the confidence in stock market itself when the crash happened. And I also tweeted a very, very long how it can be addressed. So increase in LTSC and STSC in the right direction. More importantly, the promotion of 2 things. One on unemployment at grassroots level, which we saw multiple announcements, plus also unlisted equity, LTSG being brought at same level is right. Think of me, right, or any entrepreneur in the country, or small entrepreneur. If you invest your 100 rupee and make, let's say, 20% ROE, that 20% is getting taxed at 25% on corporate tax rate. But if you invest in stock market in somebody else's business, which you have no idea about, it might just speculation, and you sell it after 1 year, you're making 10% tax. That's how fair it is for the entrepreneur who wants to. It's like disincentivize an entrepreneur to invest in his own business, somebody else's business, which is listed.
Correct.
So it's like listed equity as a segment is growing compared to MSME and a small entrepreneur. So I think that's been addressed a little bit in that sense. So in my opinion, this budget would be a landmark budget on direct tax reforms. There could be a lot been done. I totally agree.
Yeah.
But overall, I think we are moving as a nation in the right direction, and we will see positive ripple effect, which is people often react on first order impact. But I definitely believe the second order, third order impact would be visible 2 or 3 year down the line.
Yeah, yeah. Very well summarized. And, I think as you mentioned before we started recording also, right? I mean, the expectations that people have from something like budgets is so humongous. And we saw the rally leading up to the budget also, right? I mean, even though the government, or rather over the 8-10 years, I mean, we've tried to make the budget like a non-event, right? Make it less relevant. I think people do have these high expectations in terms of tax cuts and SOPs and those kind of things, right? People also have this illusion of like them being middle class, where India is like, what are we, like $2,500 per capita right now. So for a country that's at about $2,500 per capita, right? I mean, first of all, like we have to have a real understanding of like who is middle class, right? I mean, I'm sure like all of us will be in the top 5, top 10% easily of earners in India. And where are we going to generate the money from, right? I mean, someone has to bear that brunt. I, for one, have kind of reconciled that, I can't do anything about taxes. Yes, sure, it sucks paying 30% or whatever else I pay on indirect taxes and everything, but it is what it is, right? Maybe like 1 or 2 generations down the line, someone will benefit from it, and that goodwill will kind of accrue, right? So, but from a startup perspective, right, I think there's some incentives and some focus on defense funding, for example. I think government has already pushed this whole IDEX and Atmanirbharta, and because of the Defense Acquisition Council and so on and so forth, there's a huge push on indigenization. But do you see like a lot more benefits for some of these specific sectors like defense and so on?
So I think, Roshan, you asked multiple questions. I'll try to take them one by one. So let's come on the taxes part. So I would say I count my parents as the very biggest influence on my life. My mom always used to tell me, I came from a village background, always count your blessings.
Yeah.
So while we may crib a lot about taxes, we should count our blessing that we are in a country which is secure, stable,
Absolutely.
where there's opportunity, democracy is there. So today, if we see the middle class, the class that has been working and making money, right, it's very different to our parents' generation. Where job security was the only thing, ki government job lag jayega bhai, right? That should be the case. So in that sense, a progress in economy is more beneficial for middle class than some tax dolies given by finance minister. Finance minister is no Santa Claus. His finance minister's KRA, if I had to define KRA, finance minister to take care of country, not like a segment of population, right? So our crib is very justified, but we are letting our crib or our anxiety in wrong way. If we want to crib, then we need to demand better roads. We need to demand
absolutely
better facilities, and for that, how many people vote?
Yeah.
I fly every time to go to Jaipur and I try to vote, but I don't find people who crib to vote.
Correct.
If I can create a law that people who don't vote should not even express opinion, I would be the first one to sort of do that. Or people who don't vote shouldn't get any tax benefit, right? Because first thing is exercise one right that the government has given. Yeah. The second thing is come together and make your local people accountable.
Yeah.
So that's better way. So you rather than cribbing out taxes, because saving taxes not made any richer. Your shram, your parishram make you richer, whether you are a salaried class, whether an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Taxes are not unreasonable. I went to US recently. I stayed with my friend who is my batchmate. And in this country, only central government can tax you. In that country, your central government is taxing you, your state is taxing you, your city is taxing you, and that is taxing income tax. Forget that, like 46% tax. In our case, if you are making 10 lakh rupee, and please, I'll answer the second question as well. At 10 lakh rupee, you are probably already part of top 3% or 5% of country. You are just paying 4.5% tax. Yeah. That's not insane, right? The question is that obviously tax cuts, tax grant, it would have meant more money, but the economic growth probably drive more. So I don't think that's a grip that should be there for middle class.
Yeah.
Middle class should vent their anger in different way. That's definitely whether it's not something that government could not have done. The other part of the question, which is focus of the government, I think I listened to the entire budget speech, and the focus of government is very, very clear. In fact, the way the budget spelled out, it cannot be spelled out better. The way Mr. Nirmala Sitharaman read the speech, like priority 1, priority 2, priority 3, priority 4, priority 5, priority 6, priority 7, right? It's very, very clear where the priority is. In our country, our per capita income, middle class is cribbing when they are making 10 lakh rupee. Our per capita income is just $3,000. And still we are a country which is poorer. We saw a huge viral thing on Twitter where a city in Gujarat, I think, got like 10 applications and 100 people applied for that. People who are getting first time at the job struggle to make money. Government has done immense work now by 2 or 3 schemes where person who is getting registered into EPFO would get some grant from government, or even top 5 company would sort of provide the internship. So government in one stroke has the employment link benefit, which first time has come into the budget, in one stroke has done 2 things. One, ensuring that more and more people are employed and skilled. Government has tried to do with NSDC, but NSDC has not done the kind of job it could have done, right? Yeah. So now government has directly done, let people get employed by the organization and let me provide direct benefit, which is immense on the government side. Now taxes side also, government rationalized taxes first time. Earlier our capital markets were fragile. We used to hear 10 years back that if FII sneeze, that like the entire market tanks, right? That's not happening. Nobody bothers how much money FI is selling, buying. So they know that they can do it. And that's the reason the LTCG and STCG increased. Like if LTCG, when STT was introduced back then, market tank. Yesterday, all 3 increased by LTCG increased 25%, STCG increased. Yet market deep nosedived, yet came up because people know that flow would happen, right? That's like reaction of the market. So I think overall government has their priority in right direction, and some very, very specific thing government has done for space tech, which is something government wants to lead. Already private sector doing fantastic job. Government has announced a fund, 1,000 crore fund. While it needs to be seen, it's a fund of fund the way it was earlier, or it's a direct fund. So that needs to be seen. Ideally, hopefully it should be a fund of fund, because government has no business of getting into actual business. It should just probably give money to people who are expert at that. But government has done that. Government done other stuff in specific sectors which basically need support, and you'd see one very important thing government focus, a sector which has become, let's say, Atmanirbhar, let's say mobile segment. Actually government taken benefit away. So now government is be very, very focused what I want to do, where I want to do, how I want to do. And they are taking capital away from unproductive resources like gold and real estate, where the large part of wealth is still stuck, and they want to put the capital in the hand of people who want to deploy the capital in productive resources. If you see, all the middle class is cribbing, but government yesterday gave a bonanza on the entire middle class by increasing 2 bonanzas they gave, which people won't realize unless they consult a wealth advisor. They increased the NPS contribution by employer from 10% to 14%. Your employer can contribute a sizable money, and people who actually make money, who are in 30% bracket, right, who say that we are not taken care, they can go ahead and convince their employers ki, guys, please contribute to my NPS, and entire contribution is tax exempt. You actually can contribute a sizable money. The only thing is ki that NPS is going to make 8%, not the equity kind of return, but that's fine as long as it's fixed, right? The second thing that government has done, which government has been, this provision has been always available in every person, every Indian person. The government has been extremely explicit this time. So people who crib about capital gain tax, if you are a long-term investor, invest for yourself, but as a child name. In India, from age of 18 to 21 or 18 to 20, the child doesn't earn. Keep selling at that time. And your capital gain tax is free. Anyway, 1.25 lakh, 1.25 lakh free hai. Because child is an adult, you can book the income in his name. Because gift from a person to blood relative is free. And government actually, like, I was surprised that Prime Minister is suggesting very, very directly in avenue which has been in hand of every Indian citizen, but the utilization of that route has been very low because of information gap or exposure.
Right.
So there are a lot of avenues of middle class which are, if they use, they can still save the taxes a lot. It's not that
Right.
they are this thing. But in my opinion, government has done a great job in terms of presenting a very, very forward budget.
Right. Yeah, I think overall, right, I mean, I think if I look at the policy mechanism in general, I think it's towards increasing the size of the pie, right?
Yeah.
And lot of these things are enablers to increase the size of the pie. Overall, I think our mindset has to shift from, tax cuts and SOPs and reservations to thinking beyond that, right? To think about the ceiling in terms of how much we grow, right? I mean, how much value can I add? How can I be more productive? And take more of the wealth that is being created as a result of the pie growing, right? So, yeah. So, anyway, I mean, that...
Government is indirectly, anyone who is cribbing about 30 to 40 lakh salary, government is indirectly telling them, guys, why don't you become an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
It's probably better to become an entrepreneur and create wealth, because when you give 3,000, 4,000 rupees this thing, you are making hiring interns attractive.
Yeah.
Hire them, build a company. So government is encouraging them to probably become an entrepreneur. So there's a very huge focus from government on capital formation, entrepreneurship, employment, which is a good thing.
Yeah, overall, right? I mean, if you look at like how heavily they've come down on options trading, for example, right? And with the volumes that we're seeing and so on and so forth. I think government wants you to build things, right? And not just make money, on the markets via trading or whatever else, right? So they want you to build, they want you to be a part of that productive part of the economy in some sense, right? So that seems to be the focus. But anyway, I mean, this was a nice discussion on the budget.